I'm Charlotte and this is Pippa. We're here to talk to you about growing your analytics community, which is something that we've done internally in Lloyds.
So I joined the group 4 years ago as a Tableau developer, and I have really seen Tableau grow through the business. And actually, my first passion wasn't necessarily data. I was a physicist and I specialised in optics. But then I moved into a job where I just got so frustrated with people misinterpreting data day in, day out. So I thought, right, I need to go and work in data, and where better to learn than Lloyds Banking Group, one of the biggest databases in the UK. This is actual Lloyds data, and it's the only actual Lloyds data you'll see today in our presentation. But it's pretty much impossible to tell what the numbers are. I'd open the floor to anybody who can guess how much of our widgets are in London.
Percentage-wise? 60?
Anybody else? Any other takers? Go on, shout it out. 70? You've pretty much hit the range that I normally get on this, and this is the exact viz that really motivates me. It's actually 26%. And so finding visualizations like this embedded into the business is what really drives me to improve that. So let's rewind to 2016, where Tableau landed. So before Tableau arrived, we had a multitude of reports. I think this picture is probably quite resonant with a lot of businesses a while ago, where you had Excel on Excel on Excel on SharePoint, emailed around, just a mess. We had hundreds of reports. What was more annoying, though, is we had really experienced analysts spending their time finding reports, but also answering really small business questions like how many customers did we have? So let's fast forward to today, where now we have built a really amazing self-service analytics suite, and the tool that we have used for that is Tableau. We'll go on to talk a bit about Power BI in a second.
What are we going to talk about today? So firstly, our journey with self-service analytics, how we've built an analytics community to support our self-service journey, and how we think it's gone on to help and made it a real success. And then finally, some tips and tricks for building your own communities if that's something that you feel like you would like to do in your organisations. So who are Lloyds Banking Group? We've got around 30 million plus customers across the UK. We're the UK's leading retail bank provider and also the largest digital bank in the UK. We own a lot of brands, so we're not just Lloyds, but also Halifax, Bank of Scotland, MBNA, amongst many, many others. And we bring all of those together, and they've come from mergers and acquisitions and all sorts of things. So the data is really not very clean when it's first there, because everyone is reporting on different things all the time. So to address this, we've come up with Group Analytics, which is where both Pippa and myself are from. And we are a centre of excellence within the bank. And our main job is basically to help all the different parts of the business, all the different mortgages or the finance sectors. We help them do analytics really well. And to do that, we have to lead the way and prove that we know how to do analytics perfectly internally, which is a harder task than it sounds, unfortunately. So we use self-service analytics in the group for absolutely everything. So all of these reports here are things that have been built within Group Analytics to help other parts of the business answer some of their business questions. These are also all, disclaimer, built in Tableau, whoops, but that is our main focus and it's our strategic tool of choice at the moment. But we do have Power BI in the group as well, as Pippa mentioned.
As I say, we've been on quite a journey, and so we've been improving our outputs over the last 3 years with Tableau. When it first landed, it was very much building our Excels in Tableau, whereas now we've got to a point where we're starting to really use visualization. So this is test data, not real, but this is looking at some of our new way of visualizing customer journeys. We're very focused on improving customer service and what the customer experience is when interacting with us, as that's a key differentiator in the market. And so what we're testing at the moment is actually, instead of using funnel reporting, why don't we use visualization to tell the story instantly? And so without knowing much about what I'm talking about, I'm sure you've already picked out how people flow through the different stages, where some people have jumped over different stages, but also where people have dropped out. And so it's a really powerful viz and can tell a very complicated story in one dashboard. We've also been playing and toying with the idea of templating. So templates are a bit of a love-hate topic. Some people love them, some people hate them. And so as part of group analytics, we've gone to a quite standard and subtle template. So you'll notice on the left-hand side here, is that your left-hand side? Yes. You'll see our navigation pane, so you can navigate around the different reports. We also have kind of standardized logo and title locations, so people know exactly what they're looking at. And then we've got the filters down on the right-hand side. What we also notice is in that top left-hand, right-hand corner is the information button. And we think this is really key when you're using self-service analytics. Data can be misinterpreted. People don't understand exactly what they're looking at. What is the customer base you're focusing on in this report? And so having these information buttons strategically placed around can really help improve usability. And even me as a template hater has grown to love this template. And then also, self-service analytics, the key is actually getting people to self-serve and stop coming and asking you questions. And so what we do is we monitor our usage metrics. So we've got some core strategic reports that we really need to drive up usage of. And how can we do that unless we track it? What do we know is successful and what isn't in making people go and look at those reports day in, day out? But it hasn't always been easy. So we face a lot of challenges. We're a very large organization. It can be hard to embed new technology. I'm sure some other people in here have got similar stories. So keeping up with times in a big organization, core things we've found is that funding, scaling, versioning, and governance are really difficult to get right. So particularly with our Tableau, we cross-charge within Lloyds Banking Group. That's not what everyone does, but it's taken us a while to work that sort of stuff out. Then you've got to deal with other BI tools. So as we've heard before already, right tool for the right job, integration, Power BI. I'll talk about that more in a little second. But then we've also got the challenge of having a segmented platform. Our Tableau server is set across multiple different sites. And so somebody in finance can't see what's necessarily happening in group analytics. And so what we're trying to do is start breaking down those silos and seeing what's going on elsewhere. So onto the Power BI Tableau thing that I keep on putting off. I'm sure it's a very topical conversation for multiple businesses in this room. But we picked up Tableau first. It landed 3 years prior. And the way Tableau lands is it is a land and grow method, where we had a small team who picked it up. They worked out how it operated within Lloyd's infrastructure, and then it grew. And so behind Tableau, we've got that well-established funding model. We have governance. We have automated onboarding. We've got training. We've got community. We've built up this network, and so it's got amazing infrastructure that sits behind it. However, Power BI at the moment, I think Power BI is very powerful. The way it lands is it's just everybody gets access. And so building in that baseline infrastructure is a much bigger hill to climb. And so we're just starting to face into that. I'm sure, Group CIO, were you here? Are feeling that pain as well, just because they're completely different business models. But I do think they can play in the same company, and they can actually work very well together.
So I mentioned at the start we have an analytics community, and these are some of the brands that we have sitting kind of under an umbrella of our analytics communities. We've got a Tableau community, we've got kind of skills-based guilds which are all across the country because our users are from Edinburgh down to London. We've got loads and loads of different people in different locations, and bringing them together to discuss their skills, because sometimes silos, again, you might be really, really great at a particular skill, but you're the only one in your team because the team doesn't need to have 4 people great at this. And actually, if you want to bounce ideas, you don't necessarily have that. So the analytics community has helped us kind of break that down. And then also our iPi community. We do also have a small Power BI community as well internally, but that is currently not under our kind of key analytics community brand. But the idea really grew from the success of our Tableau community, which is what we're going to talk about, how we kind of grew that, and then that sort of grew into the analytics community, confusing analogy, I'm sorry, and really how we hope our analytics community will kind of continue to be. So we think building a community is a little bit like having to raise a child. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. I mean, neither of us have children, so we are literally just guessing. But I imagine if I was to be a parent, or when I am, I'll look at these slides and be like, I remember that time I raised a community. But yeah, so we think there's the different stages, kind of going from a newborn right up to kind of flying the nest and standing on its own 2 feet. And that's what we're going to talk you through over the next few minutes. So, firstly, getting the basics right. You're new to the world, you need to be able to find yourself, you need to be able to find your feet, and you need loads and loads of help. You're so dependent on everything. So the first, most biggest priority is being able to find something that's easy to search for. That's like number one. If people can't find it, they can't join it, they can't use it, and the community falls flat. It also has to be accessible to everyone. The whole point of a community is it's everyone being involved, and whether you are an absolute genius, you know it all, you don't need the community, or you're a complete beginner and you're desperate and you need any help at all, it's important that both aspects of that have got access and are able to find it. And then finally, it needs to be a central hub. There is literally no value in having 10 different ones all dotted around, because all the benefits of community are going, so the duplication, everything just comes back. So what we've done, this is our home. This is where our community was founded, and it's an internal portal called Hive. But I mean, Yammer, Teams, there's loads of different collaboration tools that can be used for such a thing. And we named ours the Tableau Exchange. So once we had that kind of Hive page set up and it going, we needed to then kind of go to the toddler terrible twos phase of trying to find people to join said community, because it was a bit lonely by ourselves. So firstly, finding other users who were really interested in sharing and had good things to share. Also, trying to get the support teams on board and involved, so people that might not necessarily be your first choice or first thought of people to go into the community, but actually, if they're answering the same question every day of how do I find my license key, and we can put that on the community, we're not only saving them time and money in repeating the same answer to hundreds of people, we're also giving people a one-stop shop for responses, and they can think, oh, instead of going to there, I can look here, and they might see a really cool viz that someone's built at the same time, so it's really 2 in 1. But also, firstly, opening to a small group to make sure it doesn't just get flooded with loads of rubbish. So getting all the good people and the people that you know are going to really speak for your brand and speak for the community, getting them on board and starting that real central toddler phase.
I'd say the toddler phase is real test and learn. A lot of things failed when we were in that phase. You'd put up something that you thought was amazing, a fantastic viz, amazing guide, and one person looked at it. And then you'd put up something which was literally like a colour palette and you got hundreds of likes. But that's where you start to learn what really drives your community and who's interested in what.
So then it's kind of going on to making your first friends and starting that educational journey. And this is when you really, because as we were saying in the toddler stage, you had that kind of small group of people that you had sort of brought in, and this is when you're really opening it up to everyone. So the first thing was trying to get people on board still. A lot of that ended up offering help, mainly for free and using your own time. Sad, but works. So that's really putting in the hard graft and offering people, actually, oh, you don't have to do that, that's fine, let me help you. But in exchange, that's going to go on the community, so as it can help other people in the future. Research and training, so that's kind of the test and learn stuff, but also getting training materials from any location you can find, or if you've self-taught yourself something, actually putting it up there and sharing it, because you never know, someone else might be sat there thinking, I wonder how to build a bar chart too, and you've just done that, so that's really great. And then also encouraging content, and this is something that is very close to Pippa's heart. With lots of people would come and ask, begging for free help, and Pippa would say, yeah, that's fine, but actually, can you post that question onto the community instead, so as I can answer it for everyone there, which was one way. And then the other thing was just stalking what people were doing. And if you spotted anything nice, telling them that actually that's something that definitely should be shared and it should go up onto the community for other people. Because sometimes I also think people don't realise what they're doing is actually groundbreaking and really awesome and should be shared. I think they just think, oh, I've built another chart, which is not the case at all. Finally, starting to stand on your own 2 feet. And this is when you don't need to put quite so much work into the community. It kind of miss the Aggie teenage stage, which is great, and they're sort of just off on their own, which is brilliant. So firstly, it's promoting effective use, so avoiding spam or people using it for the wrong reasons. We haven't really noticed that too much, but that is definitely something that we're wary of and concerned might happen. Becoming a support function, so that goes back to the very first stage of getting the support teams on board. Actually, now, because people are so used to coming to the community, it's almost become the support function on top of the support teams. So making sure if, for example, there's a bug or the server goes down, actually that the community is the first to be on board with that and know what the next step is, because people will actually turn to that before they turn to the support community, and we can't break that trust we've got with our users that we've gained from giving them kind of nuggets of information. And then finally, the best bit is the crowdsourcing, which is when the content's coming by itself. We don't have to ask people to upload things. They just know that that's where it should go. And that's when the community really starts to flourish and is really great.
I'd say actually we're going through a particular time at the moment where we are really appreciating the community, but we're trying to get our Tableau platform onto the Azure Cloud platform. And we're also going for an upgrade. And so the community at the moment is really key for like messaging out, letting people know the updates, and it's really starting to show its value at the moment.
Yeah, they also heckle us on all our posts. Where's the upgrade? So, you know, pros and cons. What we've really found though for our community is content is really vital for the community to flourish. So at the very beginning of that sort of segment we showed you Hive, we've downloaded some of our usage stats from Hive, which is this here for you to enjoy.
Yeah, I'd say if our community is a person, content is its food. And so we just looked at the trend of kind of content building and our active users. And so you can see where there's kind of spikes. I'm going to ignore the giant one for the time being, but you'll see like almost a table in the middle. That's where we started releasing loads of blogs about a new version. And so it really drives continued interest, and people keep coming back time and time again, even though we publish them all on the same day. Obviously it took people a long time to read through them all. And then also around kind of the conferences and sorts of face-to-face events we tend to see a spike as well. Now I will go on to that giant spike, which is actually, we've got a group interchange, which is kind of the web front page as everybody logs in the morning. And we got the opportunity to go and shout about the Tableau Exchange. And so what we managed to do is reach people we didn't even know were using Tableau, who weren't interested in it. And so one thing I would recommend is if you're trying to start a community, don't just focus on the analysts, focus on everyone in the business, because they might not know they're an analyst yet. So if we take it out, you can see the trend a bit better.
And content does equal better community, better flourishing, which is basically what we're trying to prove, because it didn't really show before.
So what sort of content do we find drives that interest? This is just a small selection of the stuff we've got on there, but shows you a bit of the variety. GIFs, they are whizzy, people do like them. People being able to watch a 10-second, 20-second GIF over reading a page of a written out tutorial, that's fantastic. People love that and drove a huge amount of interest. We also run polls to find out what people want to hear about. Tableau come in every so often, and they'll come and do workshop days, and so we make sure the community get to feed into what they're seeing. We run hackathons, so get people face-to-face, actually talking to each other and sharing skill sets, and that is open to everyone, whether you've used Tableau or not. We also have the tutorials, so you can see the UK hex tile map just hidden in the background there. We comms about the platform, so you can see our kind of communication when we sign on new deal with Tableau and sorted out our cross-charging model, etc. And then Tableau activation key questions. So like these questions, it's incredible. They get answered within 10 minutes. I've not seen a question that's really sat on there for more than a day. And thankfully, I'm not the one answering all of them anymore. The community has really taken off, and they've jumped on those question answering.
But it's not all about content. We actually host quite a lot of events as well. So this was our internal Tableau conference 2 years ago in Bristol. We actually held one just over a month ago in London, which was actually, we widened it up and was BI as a whole rather than just Tableau, because we are aware that our organisation is moving and there are other tools available, like disclaimer. But we really find these events are actually amazing at getting people together, especially people who might not identify themselves as analysts necessarily in their job role, but when they look at what we do or what our software helps them do, they're like, actually, that is what I do. I am an analyst without realising it. We also appreciate that actually BI itself is moving in a much more advanced move, which I think we've probably seen today by all of the use of the word data science. So we host an R and Pi conference, which is actually held at Tableau's offices in London, and there's another one of those in a few weeks' time. And then also the hackathon and using data to make a difference in the community. So this was a mental health hackathon. So we were able to, who are our charity partners with Lloyds Banking Group, were able to use their data and also some of our data as well to really help Mental Health UK. And those results actually did go back to Mental Health UK to help them with a project, which is really good.
We find that using external data and stuff that isn't someone's day job really helps push people to be a bit more creative. We have, however, heard of hackathons where people solve a business problem. So I think that's the next one, isn't it?
Yeah.
For us,
I mean, our business has no problems, so why would we do that? The benefits that we have seen of community, we've kind of gone over them a bit as we've talked through it, but really the onboarding is much, much more simple. When you think about the fact that in such a huge organisation, we've got almost 6,000 users of Tableau, when every single one of those gets a license, so they have to take a day to work out how to switch it on and how to actually download it and use it. If we're able to save that, we're saving a huge amount of money, because sometimes community isn't that easily sold to kind of directors and more senior people because it's not a real job. But actually we find that it is, and it's got real financial benefits. It's also really good at sharing and saving the duplication of work. As we were saying before, if someone has worked out how to do something and they've put it on the community, that saves another person's day rate of them trying to work it out as well. But also, finally, that kind of mutual support and sense of belonging. It really helps people get together, especially those who might be siloed in their teams or siloed in their locations across the UK. We
find that one of the biggest things that's a blocker to people learning and picking up new skills is actually anxiety and fear of the unknown. So if you can have a community, a support network that is willing to listen and answer whatever simple question appears in 10 minutes, it really can help push forward people willing to pick up new skills and learn something new. Tableau has really helped Lloyds Banking Group unlock insights from data, and that's gone from a plethora of different reports on all different platforms to now having kind of self-service at your fingertips when you need it. We've also found that developing our Centre of Excellence is making a big impact on uplifting the quality of our output, and that's because we're allowed to focus on uplifting analytics, not necessarily just churning out a report. Building the analytics community has been the key to our success so far, and it is definitely going to be the key to our success in the future. But it's also helped us overcome quite a lot of different challenges. So, for example, with new tools and stuff, being able to use our community aspect and our community function to really help people upskill on those quickly really will be the thing that I think will help take Lloyds Banking Group to the next level of analytics. And we've also recognised, though, that it's definitely time to move forward our community. It's done really, really well so far, and I think we are definitely a bit guilty of basking in glory sometimes, but actually it's really just the start, and what we need to do is really build on it now and move it to the next level.